Welcome, welcome, welcome from snowy New Jersey. Haven't had to say that in a very, very long time. I think here in Wayne, we're probably up to about 5 inches on the ground. And I think, Terry, you said you have a couple of inches or so. And you're south, you're like in
Yeah,
central
yeah,
Jersey.
I'm in Central Jersey, and my wife says about 4 inches, but it's still coming down. So we'll see what we finally get by this afternoon.
Right. So, Terry, we thank you very much for rescheduling the
Well, thank you.
conversation, which we were going to do before. This turns out they were doing three. I'm doing three LinkedIn lives today about job
Amazing.
search. I mean, well, the one on the one at 1 o'clock was always planned. It was for Lee Hecht Harrison coaches to talk to recruiters,
Yeah.
and then at 3 o'clock today, Virginia Franco and I are going to talk about Lions, Tigers, and resumes. That was
Yeah,
going to be on the 15th, and stuff happens, and that's okay.
it does.
I mean,
Yeah, it does. I'm just glad you're back in action.
Yeah, me too, actually. I mean, not 100%, but definitely glad to be back. And I think we were talking before with so much conversation today about what we can actually talk about. And I think we both agree from our experiences with our career development, me with Lee Hecht Harrison and you with your group, some of the common challenges that we see, for sure. I know that I see this again and again with people that have just lost their jobs. And it's kind of like, they don't know where to start, and they sometimes don't even know what's important and not important to put down.
That's right.
On a resume. I don't know if you come across something similar.
Oh yes, quite often clients that I work with are going through job search for the very first time in their career. Every once in a while, someone will say to me, "Terry, I've been through this before," but that's more the exception than the rule. Typically, they have no idea where to start. They might have a resume, but in those cases, or many cases, the resumes are old. They haven't touched it in years. They haven't had a job interview in years. And so, a lot of the clients I work with really are at, they're really at, ground zero, for lack of a better term. They're at the very, very beginning, and they look to us to figure out, okay, what do I do first? What do I do second? What do I do third? What's the roadmap? What are the right things that I should be doing that will move the ball down the field? And so that's a big part of what I do is help them establish a game plan, a structure, a routine that they can follow that will help them get to their goals, whatever that goal might be. In most cases, it's finding another job, but every once in a while, it's a different kind of a career goal. I've got some folks that are looking to go into consulting, some that are thinking of starting their own business. So we get a variety of career goals, the main one being find that next job.
I think one of the challenges that I have, and I have these different sessions, is a lot of people are not really sure exactly what they want to do next. So they haven't really defined what that means. They may know about the industry, but they may not know about the specifics. But you've talked about an old resume. How do you know a resume is old? I mean, I mean, just from the purposes of I'd be curious to know what you take that to mean.
Two big telltale signs. One is they have an objective at the top. That is definitely old school. And the second is at the bottom they have references available upon request. When I see those, one or the other or both, that is an old school resume and needs to be brought into the 21st century.
Yeah, I see a lot of those too. I also see. I mean, I've seen other old things. I've seen resumes with 2 phone numbers on them.
2 phone numbers.
2 phone numbers.
Yeah.
And I've seen street addresses.
Oh yeah. And how about old style emails like AOL.com or Hotmail or?
I actually got pushback from one of my Lee Hecht Harrison clients about that. Like, what do you mean that this is old?
Yeah.
And I had other people in the branding session that we had. I said, "What do you guys think?" Because I think it's great to have these other people here to be the eyes and ears, because and they supported me. But I think it's so important. And for me, it's as much about being honest with them. I just got 4 more resumes today, and there's things about them. I know what they do from the resume, but I don't know, but they don't portray it that well.
That's
And
a challenge. That's a real challenge. And we throw the word branding around a lot. To,
mhm.
to me, what that is getting at is helping the individual to figure out who they are as a professional and what is their unique value proposition, and then how to capture that in a summary, say on the top of the resume, so that it really does tell the recipient of the resume who this professional is, and why the employer should sit up and take notice and want to find out more about that person. So if the word branding doesn't trigger too many negative connotations, that's a big part of the work that we do, is really trying to help that person figure out who they are and why they are of value.
So I'm going to guess this is Al Smith. I mean, we have this thing here, who, and those
Yeah,
resumes speak to their responsibilities as opposed to their accomplishments. I see that all the time. I
me
see that
too.
task list,
Yep. And
and
I see bullet points that start with responsible for. And as soon
mhm.
as I see responsible for, I know I'm looking at more of a job description than I am a list of accomplishments.
Well, I think a lot of job seekers don't realize until they've left about what they've done
Yeah.
because they're so into the mindset as to what they've done on a regular
Yes,
basis.
that's true.
So I do have to call out my New Jersey fam here. Michelle Daly, about a few towns over from me in snowy New Jersey,
Oh yeah.
and Jonathan Woolley. For those of you that are not aware of how excited we are, we haven't had snow here, real snow, in about 2 years here.
Yeah. We had a
So
little bit in January, but
that
we're
didn't count.
we're finally getting a really good snow here.
I think the biggest challenge is that when you talk to job seekers about what they're doing, um, and I've said this to a couple of people before, if you're going to make a career change and you want to make a career change, ask other people in the industry first about what is going on with that career. Don't just go because it may turn out you don't like that potential career that you're going to.
Yeah.
Because transferable skills will only go so far.
It's actually a great way to change career direction, meaning to find someone doing the kind of thing you would like to do or that you think you'd like to do,
Mhm.
and meet up with them, pick their brains, find out what is it that they do, how did they get into that career, how could someone else get into that career. I actually did that way back when, early in my career. I was in one field and I wanted to move into another field, and I was able to make that move through informational interviewing. I just met with one person after another, and each person was recommended to me by the previous one. So I was following the breadcrumbs from conversation to conversation to conversation, and the end result was I was able to make that career transition.
I think for me, because most of the people I work with, they have been around for a while
Yeah,
and they've been given some advice, and some of the advice is good and some of the advice is bad.
yeah,
And there is no one size fits all. I say that to them again and again. I mean, if you have to make your resume 3 pages, you make it 3 pages. It
hmm,
might be 1 page. You just
right.
don't know. But to use the cookie cutter templates, I got a conversation last night because I do a Monday night group here in town,
Hmm.
and people wanted to know about doing a cover letter. Should I do a cover letter or not? And we all
Yeah.
said absolutely. So then it's like, well, do I include in the cover letter? And then someone else said, what about Chat GPT, which brings up the whole automation tool thing.
Yeah.
And we all said it's a good starting point, but it's not the end all. And I think a lot of people are now using Chat GPT for everything. And that's a scary thought
Hmm.
because I think, and well, I'm going to ask this of recruiters later on today. I bet recruiters can tell from a mile away if it's a resume or if it's a cover letter from Chat GPT.
A lot of people posting on LinkedIn are now generating their posts using Chat GPT or other similar tools. And when you read those kinds of posts, you definitely can tell this came out of an AI tool. It's not that person speaking. There's definitely something about those outputs that you can, after you look at enough of them, you can tell, okay, this came out of ChatGPT. Having said that, I'm a big proponent of learning to use one of those tools. You pick. There's a bunch out there now. Use one of them as as somebody once said recently, a personal assistant. I think Sam Valou said that in a recent talk. It's your personal assistant. Let them help you. Let ChatGPT help you with this task. Once it gives you the output, then carefully review it. Carefully review it. Make sure it says what you want it to say, and then edit it and revise it and incorporate it. However, could be into a cover letter, could be into a resume, whatever the case might be. Those tools are also helpful with interview preparation.
Definitely. And there is some good advice there. I mean, I think if you don't know where to start, it's certainly better than nothing. But I think you have to use that as a starting point, not as the end all.
Agreed.
So again, I do want to call out Brenda Miller, because Brenda Miller is going to have a special. She's going to have a special event on Saturday from 10 to 2.
Nice.
But she's doing it then because it's for people who are looking for jobs but are still working.
Interesting.
And I'm interested. I mean, I've actually gotten a lot of calls from people that are looking for jobs too on the side. And it's kind of ironic, because, which brings up another question entirely that I'd like to ask you. When someone loses a job, I mean, how do you feel about the fact that they should let people know about that? Because there are a couple of people in my town that I really wish they would tell us. I mean, I know they've lost a job, but they're keeping it to themselves for all different reasons, and it boggles my mind.
Yeah. Well, people have their reasons, and I respect that if somebody is being cautious about how they get the word out. But I'm a very strong proponent of getting the word out. So somehow or other, you've got to get the word out to people in your network, so that you can activate the power in your network. Activating the power in your network is one of the most important elements of a job search. It always has been, and especially is today. The clients I'm working with now that are making the most progress are the ones who are actively networking, who are reaching out to people that they know, who are expanding their network to people that they don't know. And I could give you instance after instance of how they are generating interviews. They are generating interviews as a result of the networking.
I think I've had an opportunity in the last few weeks to see people I hadn't seen for a very long time just by going in person. And I wanted to do that at the start of the year. I think that's a great way to reach out to people, because, you learn about them for sure. And just to let everyone know, this is the actual link from Brenda where you can register. Wink, wink. I mean, I'm going to be doing a part 1 session for sure. A lot of us are there. Brenda Miller is one of my go-to resources, and I think there's a lot of shared experience, but she's been a big supporter of mine. And I think that's one of the things that I love about LinkedIn in general, is that we all support each other, and you, Terry, as well. I mean, I'm actually going to be, in April, I'm going to have my 200th LinkedIn Live.
Amazing. That's quite an achievement.
And then after my 201st, I'm going to probably be kind of taking a step back, because it does take a little bit of a toll. It's a fun toll for sure.
Ken, I have a question for you. You're so active doing these kinds of live events. Do you like this style, the 2 boxes video style, or the audio style? Do you like the audio?
Good question. I think I like them both for different reasons. I mean, audio is really great from engagement. I do a lot of audio events. I'm going to be probably doing a lot more. When I started doing these, I had no expectation as to where it was going to go. And we actually did them on Zoom calls, and we did them locally. I don't know if you know this about me, but I was a reporter many, many years ago.
Yeah.
I was a reporter in town, and if I had had my druthers, I probably would have gone into reporting. I worked at the Bergen Record, which was the large paper up here.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I did sports reporting and local reporting, But a funny thing happens. You have to pay the bills.
Yeah.
So I remember when the first faxes came out. I remember the whole idea of bringing film down to the press room and that whole thing. But I love that idea of having a conversation, and it's just like speaking that way. It's a lot easier than an inquisition. That's why I always felt I could interview well, because I was speaking as a one-on-one.
Yeah. I think that's definitely one of your strengths, Ken. It's something I've greatly admired over these almost 200 sessions that you've done.
Well, it was funny because I had Ellie Amder on last week, and Ellie
That
Amder
was great, by the way. I really enjoyed that. Yeah,
but we had a good time with that. We just had been chatting for a while, and kind of like you, like I said to you before, we want to chat about. We just started chatting about things. And I've known Ellie for a very long time now, but we're like friends now.
Wonderful, that's great.
So
I've known of him, but that was the first I actually saw him and had the opportunity to hear him live in action. So I appreciate you having him on.
Yeah, he had his 1,000th column not too long ago.
Yeah,
with the record. I mean, he's been doing it for a while, and we don't agree on a lot of things. He was late to the game with LinkedIn. He was late to the game with a lot of stuff, but you know, it's and again, it's something to consider. There's all different styles here. I mean, you know Marty, and Marty is, you know, Marty is kind of like the same style as me. I know you. I haven't seen Ed Hahn in a very long time, and
it's been a while. But he's still out there punching away.
Yeah, he is for sure. So again, I just wanted to do a couple of call outs. I didn't realize that Joey Himmelfarb was in Buffalo. So for me, talking about 5 or 6 inches of snow is nothing.
Yeah, we don't know snow when it comes to Buffalo. That's true.
Although, so I have to ask you the old Super Bowl question. What did you think?
I enjoyed the game very much. I didn't have a dog in either side of that game, and I really enjoyed it. I thought Brock Purdy did really well for a beginner quarterback. He maintained his composure through the whole thing, and I just had a feeling that Mahomes was going to come back, and he did. He really came back in the second half. So yeah, it was a really good game, and I enjoyed the commercials. My favorite one was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
Neighbor.
Right.
Neighbor. Just thinking about it now, it cracks me up again.
I mean, I enjoyed the Dunkin' Donuts commercial too.
That was really good. Yep.
But it's true. But see, for me, the Super Bowl, there's something about the Super Bowl with me. I actually called it in before the game was over. Because it was like too late and I didn't really care that much.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Academy Awards or something else.
Yeah.
But I kept checking on my phone a little bit.
Sure.
But we got baseball coming up for sure.
Oh, yes.
Mets, maybe.
Yep. Spring is just around the corner.
All right. So I'm going to look at this comment here. Neighbor friend did something vastly different from me. He became the president of the world's largest aquarium. He and his wife moved. I never thought to share with him that I'd been in transition until they invited me and my wife to their 36th anniversary. Dinner was served at all the tables with the most important business executives in my area, who my friend could have introduced me to. I mean, it's amazing because I know, I mean, I've been in a transition all different times with consulting gigs. And it was almost a joke when people would get together with me. They'd say, "Are you working?" Because so many times I wasn't working.
Yeah.
So that became the thing. But I tried to explain to people what I did as a consultant, and most people were like, "You mean you're okay with this?" Well, it's not that I'm so much okay with it, but that's kind of what the market bears. You know, at that point, I've been doing consulting for so long that was just the thing that made sense.
I think Marty Latman said it very well when he coined the phrase, "We are always in transition."
Absolutely.
You know, even when you are in a job and you feel, like everything is fine and dandy. It could all change tomorrow. It could all change.
I know one of the discussions that we have a lot to at Lehigh Harrison is, do you do the open to work banner or not? I mean, I get that question probably every branding session. Yeah. And I'm actually going to ask that question at 1:00 of the recruiters, because we pretty much have a reason for that, why we say yes. But I would love to get the take of others, because, I think what's amazing to me is that most people don't really realize how easily they can brand themselves. And it's such a scary word. Branding is a scary word, but it's promoting yourself. I had a marketing person on last night, and I also had a doctor on that was looking to do a transition. And I'm going to ask you, because you're impartial about this, but she's looking to market herself into like medical research from being a doctor. So she explained what her challenges were. So I had the marketing person ask the medical person, what are you doing? And it came about that she really wasn't sure exactly what she wanted to do. And I said to her, if you can't explain to me what you want to do, then it's going to be hard.
Yes, agreed. That is such a important question. It really is the foundation of everything else. What do you want to do? Yeah. If you want to continue doing what you've been doing, great. Let's go to work on that. If you want to do something different from what you've been doing, then we've got to talk about that. And we have to figure out what that is and really get a handle on it. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard to proceed.
And I think what's great about some of the sessions that we do, not just these and others, it's people just chatting. No one is any better or worse than another. We had people last night from all walks, and they were at different stages of looking, but they could share their stories. Yeah. The marketing person is looking for a new marketing job. She knows what she wants to do, but she's just literally lost her job, so she just needs some advice. Right. And it was ironic because as a marketing person, she didn't realize how much marketing she could do on her LinkedIn profile. Mm-hmm. Because again, what she realized was she didn't have to do that while she was working.
Yeah.
Which is going to be something. Yeah.
It's interesting when you work with people who have a sales and or marketing background who now are in a career transition. It's very interesting because I think one of the keys to working with folks like that is to help them see that their own background in sales, in marketing, or combination sales and marketing, they have the exact mindset and skill set that a job hunter needs. They have it. They have the whole thing. And it's helping them apply what they know and their know-how to themselves and to their own search. So I will sometimes ask that sort of person the question like, okay, you're a product that you need to sell or market. What would you do if you had that product in front of you? How would you approach that? And light bulbs start going off. They start saying, oh, well, I have to identify the market. Who are the customers? And all of a sudden the whole game plan just appears because they have it in them. They know it. It's the other clients that I work with who have no sales and marketing in their background it's a real challenge, helping them to adopt that mindset that you are in sales now. Mm-hmm. The product is you, right. And figuring out how to market yourself is part of what we're going to work on together. We're going to work on that together. We're going to talk about your brand. We're going to talk about your market. We're going to talk about a lot of things that might be very foreign to you. And some of my clients take to it very readily, mm-hmm. like a duck to water. But others, it is definitely a very foreign thing. I've had some clients say to me, Terry, this is really uncomfortable material for me. And so I want to find out why. So I'll start listening and see if they can somehow tell me where the discomfort is, because it's not something that comes naturally to everybody.
Well, we had, the mindset we had last night is if I'm 8 years old, you're 9 years old, and I can't understand what you want to do, then how is someone else going to understand it? And we had IT people
Agreed.
on the call, and IT, they speak their own language.
Indeed.
And one IT person said to the other, I don't understand what you do. And
Yep.
that's in the same industry. And
Right.
no, so I said to everyone there, if you, and you back me up or don't, I said, if your resume has a lot of acronyms on there and they make no sense at all, then why are you putting them there? I mean, yes, like some things like YOW make sense and you can understand AWS maybe, but if you're going to put other acronyms on there just for the sake of doing it, what is the point? Now in pharma, they have their own language, I guess, but
Yes, they do.
but I come across that a lot too.
Oh, yeah.
The old additional acronyms for the sake of doing it.
Yes, I look at resumes filled with acronyms all the time.
So do you have as a best practice that you leave them off, or do you have it like put it there maybe in parentheses with the acronym, or?
It comes back to marketing. Who's the audience that is going to receive this resume? If that audience will understand what AI, ML, SOW, AWS, if that audience is going to know immediately what those things are, fine. If the audience is going to be completely puzzled, then we need to spell some of these things out. So it comes back to marketing.
See, I had an interesting thing which I never had before. One of the people I'm working with just lost her job at Boeing, and she's looking to stay in the field. And she has all these accomplishments. And part of me is like, do you really want to share all these accomplishments now, given what's there, or do you want to minimize them? And I don't know the right answer to that, but I thought to myself, you know, when you look for a job, I said, what about things you've done that could relate to another industry? Because I said, you don't want it because it's obvious why you've lost your job. I mean, Boeing is going through layoffs, but how much do you want to go on to the best practices there? Because another company might say, uh-oh. Now, maybe
Right.
that's me reading too much into it, but I mean, that's
an interesting case, especially when the former employer where the person worked has been all over the headlines in a not very positive way. I have had that scenario a few times in my my work with Ayers, and it's quite a challenge when right there, front and center on your resume, is a company name that you'd really rather not be associated with, but you worked there for X number of years. So you've got to make the best out of that situation.
Sure. So again, I'm thinking this is Al Smith. Had a client who had his MD after a long gap. He said he wanted to go back to being a district sales manager. So I suggested being a medical science liaison. He got 2 offers as such. One of the things I started to do on LinkedIn is I started to do searches on job titles.
Yeah.
And then see what the jobs entail.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting because you also find that some people, the jobs that they're looking for are not the jobs that are out there, which is not to question their skills, but they're just called something different.
Mm-hmm. And I
Yeah.
think I might have learned this. Who might I have learned this from? Maybe Kevin Turner. I'm not sure. I follow some really great folks on LinkedIn, like yourself, like Kevin. So from one of you, I learned that you can actually ask ChatGPT, hey, take a look at this resume and give me some potential job titles that
Yeah.
would be a good match for this individual's background. And
Mhm.
that's one way to start generating additional roles, additional job titles to then search for on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. And I think part of the mindset is that everyone knows how to use LinkedIn in a very general way, but there's all different things you can do. What I'm
Right.
looking forward to, a lot of us are looking forward to, is the changes to creator mode coming
Mm-hmm.
up. I don't know if you've been caught wind of what's going to be happening.
Fill me in. What's coming up?
Well, they're getting rid of the hashtags on the top.
Yeah.
They're giving us the opportunity to change from either follow to connect if we want to.
Okay.
And then I think we can also move some of our content around as well.
Interesting.
We'll see how it goes. I mean, I've had a lot of people who have made follow their, and they've had creator mode, and they shouldn't be doing it at that point. But they do. And again, there's so much information out there, and there's
Oh yeah.
just so much information. That's why sometimes it's important to attend events. Michelle Daly confirmed that what you said was the right way to use ChatGPT, for sure, because these are great tools out there. Now, there's going to be a lot of great jobs within ChatGPT, within that whole AI space.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's one of the things Ellie was talking about, and it could be anything and everything. So I think the more you know about it, you don't have to be an expert, but the better.
Yeah, Alex Freund posted something the other day about what market trends should job hunters be keeping an eye on, and
Hmm.
I love that because I think his first market trend was AI. Keep an eye
Right.
on AI. You don't necessarily have to be an AI engineer,
Right.
but keep an eye on it. And one good way to do that is the Sunday morning uh, show that George Pace does, right?
Right.
Yeah, I try to attend that depending upon my church schedule, but George is doing his darndest to keep up with the rapidly unfolding story about AI. So
Hmm.
do your best, folks, to keep track of it.
I mean, think about there's going to be best practices for using it. There's going to have to be regulations. There's going to have to be requirements for that.
Yeah,
When the internet first came out, there was, again, the impression was that it was going to be this wonderful place. And next thing you know, there's a dark web and all these other things. Now, I don't know what's going to happen there specifically, but the more you can get involved in the regulation, because companies are going to have to think about this from their perspective too. They used to have a social media policy. They're going to have an AI policy if they don't have one already.
hmm,
And again, they're still figuring it out.
yep, and experiment with it, everybody. Play around with it, see what kind of content it gives you. Look at it critically and carefully. Don't take it wholesale. Don't fall into the trap of publishing something that ChatGPT came up with. Look at it carefully, edit it, and then use the good bits and pieces.
Well, Terry, I want to thank you very much for the chat today.
Thank you, Ken.
As I look outside my window here,
It's
we're
still coming down here too.
yep. So we'll see. But I mean, gotta love the weather. Wish you a happy Valentine's Day. Hopefully, we'll be able to get out, and I hope that everyone here gets a chance to attend one of the other events. This was actually recorded on YouTube too. So have a great day. Take care, Terry.
Thanks, everybody. Bye bye. Thanks,
Bye.
Ken.
Bye.